I come here with about 5 to 6 years of experience working in the field. The journey that I undertook was quite a funny journey, the reason that I picked my next career path with, and that ACCA had a big role to play in it. ACCA as a possible career stepping stone. It really polishes your soft skills. If you're writing SBL, you're solving real world business problems. The course sort of opened my eyes through its approach. Prakash sir, who introduced me to ACCA, I come here with about 5 to 6 years of experience working in the field, part of which has been prior to ACCA, part of which has been with ACCA. I'll take you through how I found out about ACCA. So funny story is, it was actually Prakash sir who introduced me to ACCA. I found a video of his online regarding the course, and that sort of kicked off my thinking into how I could possibly use ACCA as a possible stepping stone for my career. But the journey that I undertook was quite a funny journey, because the reasons I took up ACCA for didn't end up being the reason that I picked my next career path with, and that ACCA had a big role to play in it. And I'll explain how. So I was in audit for about 3.5 years, like you heard, in KPMG, where I largely audited financial services entities like banks, NBFCs, and so on. I wanted to actually pursue a more global professional qualification, having already qualified as a chartered accountant. And so I chose ACCA as a possible career stepping stone. But the course in itself revealed to me a different side of me that I didn't really know about. And why this was essentially was because of the practical approach that the exams took. Having come from a different background, having sat the professional level exams for the first time, it was sort of eye-opening how practical these exams were. So if you're writing SBR, you're actually solving problems in SBR. If you're writing SBL, you're solving real world business problems that I can actually apply to companies around me. And that sort of kickstarts your thinking into not just what does the book say, but how can I approach a problem in real life? And that is what the real world is all about. It's all about how you approach problems, not how a book defines a particular problem. An answer in an ACCA exam, say in an SBL exam particularly, can have multiple different ways of solving that problem. And that comes about only through practical thinking. Now, say another reason I really appreciated the ACCA course was its approach was very up to date. I remember during my SBR exam, I studied concepts like how to account for cryptocurrency. And this was something that was very unheard of in the CA field at the time. It felt like you're like taking a big step up in terms of being updated with current events. And, it really triggers how your thinking can really be perceived in the industry as well. You're the first one to bring up these type of topics. You're perceived as somebody who is very well up to date. And a big role in that is that the certification you're going for in itself takes that approach of being up to date, which is why it's very important. And I've always told people who've asked me for advice on whether they should do ACCA, that ACCA first lets you think like a leader. It tells you to look at the bigger problem in things in a paper, for example, and not just focus on following particular steps to solve, like book steps to solve a particular problem. So how did the ACCA really change my life? I came into it thinking that I'd probably go into audit abroad somewhere, maybe pick up an IFRS certification with ACCA and probably move abroad so I could audit companies in a country that where IFRS is more applicable. But this sort of thing, my thinking sort of changed when I gave the SBL paper particularly, where I figured out that I have a flair for consulting. So I took up consulting after that, and SBL was particularly enjoyable for me, given that I was a ranker in SBL, standing 8th globally. And so yeah, this sort of kicked off the way I really, this sort of kicked off my career. I probably would have still been in audit had I not picked up this particular course, and I wouldn't really discover my real calling in life. And they always say that you find things that are meant for you in the places you look the least. And this was a place that I didn't really expect to find my calling. I always thought that statutory audit was my calling, but then the course sort of opened my eyes through its approach. More along the lines of how it helps you, I think we've heard this a little earlier in the webinar, is that it really polishes your soft skills. The exam teaches you how you should address the person who you're, say if you're giving a report to somebody, how is it important to furnish a report that is that the person reading it sort of feels is important, you know? Say if I'm writing a report to a board member or if I'm writing a report to a key executive in the company, they're two different reports. What do you focus on more in one side? What do you focus on more on the other side? So that's another way it teaches you, it sort of brings up your soft skills and shows you how you need to really behave in the professional environment as well. Maybe not in a more holistic manner, but this is the way that it gets it kickstarted from here, right? Obviously, big thanks to Saraf Academy for all of this, because I don't think any of this would have probably been possible without Saraf sir. I can't recall which video, but it was his YouTube video that really kickstarted this entire journey for me and put me on the path to where I am today. Another thing I'll always tell you is that he is one of the most approachable people I have ever met. I always remember asking him doubts and getting a voice note back in about an hour or so at the max. So yeah, kudos to that. Really approachable person. And I highly recommend if you are choosing Saraf Academy at that. Now, some advice just to round off my time over here. Just a bit of advice to you, to all of you, maybe a few of you who are considering ACCA. Why I would recommend it is that it's a well-rounded experience. It teaches you more than the book demands, and it teaches you, and it starts you off for how you should or shouldn't be in the professional environment. So it's very important at that level. And more so, once you reach the professional level, you can look at each particular paper in the professional level, as I did, as a particular specialization that you might want to pursue. So if you want to do SBL, you could take up consulting. If you're good at SBL, you'll take up consulting. If you're good at APM, you could take up performance management in entities. If you're good at AAA, it leads to audit. If you're good at SBR, it leads to accounting or finance, right? So look at these papers more than what they are just in their book, because that's what the course is aimed at. It's not just aimed at the book. And if you're selecting this course, it will teach you right from the start to end everything you need to know and more so. Thank you so much.